There's the record, there's the encoder, and you are good.
Hey, welcome to Tales from the Barside, everybody. I'm Remy, and this is my co-host, Lauren.
Hi.
And we've got a guest for you today, but they're not here yet. They're in a meeting, so stay tuned.
He'll be here
for
soon,
that.
I promise.
Yes, well, you promised us. So if he shows up, he shows up, and if not, you just got us tonight.
Exactly.
And that's all good. You know, people have lives, and they can't be. You know, you can't just be like at a Zoom meeting at a certain time all the time, even if you want to be. We get that. Life happens. Life happens. Life happens. So, Lauren, tell us about Big Daddy Games. What's going on?
Okay,
there?
so my boyfriend has decided to open up his first barcade. It is located in East Point, Michigan. It is at between 9 and 8 Mile on Kelly Road. And
it's the old Snookers, right? It used to be called Snookers.
Yeah.
So if you know Snookers, it's better now. Like, go there now, because it's not Snookers
go there
anymore.
now. It's amazing. It's beautiful. He opened up the entire building. It's huge. There's a fuck ton of games. The food is, and I'm not talking because I'm biased, even though I am biased, but it is really good. The food is really good. He has this thing called a night burger, and it has mashed potatoes on it.
Oh,
I am like all about that.
That sounds awesome.
It's really good. And they have a lot of really good liquor selection and beer selection, and they have some awesome prices and stuff. So we're very excited to see that happening. And you guys should come out and check it out. Big Daddy Games just opened. It's going to be great. And
awesome.
Now
hey, look who joined us. Mike's here.
Hey.
Check 1, 2. Is this thing on?
Yes, sir. It is indeed.
So
man, we've gotten our wires crossed like a couple of different weeks here, and we're so happy to finally have you on, Mike. It's we're actually live on the air, but that's okay. Go ahead and do your thing. Grab your drink.
It's all right.
I have a drink.
Actually, I just moonwalked out of one of those Zoom meetings that just was going way too long.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It has been, just briefly, it has been a dynamic of the new reality in in many businesses, but most certainly in the entertainment business, is being able to interact with my clients in a meaningful manner in some way to help move their projects forward.
Yeah.
I find that when you get in a group of 4 or more people, then it can become quite tenuous, especially if the leader of the meeting has not put a time limit on the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's to my first adult soda of the evening right here. Cheers.
Ooh, cheers.
To that, sir.
High life,
to
living
that.
the high life over there.
You just got some fine champagne.
Yeah. So yes, it's glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I watch your program occasionally when I have some time to do so.
Awesome. We appreciate the support. So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. What kind of stuff do you do?
Okay. My name is Michael Fotis, and I have been working in the entertainment business professionally since 1983. Some of the things that I do that are of note, though, as an entrepreneur, I have many projects that I work on. I've been production manager for Paxahau Inc. for over 22 years. I'm responsible for all of the tech in regards to movement and all of the projects that the company does. So structure, sound, lighting, video, backline, tech management for artists, etc. Those things all fall under my umbrella. I do the same job for the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation, which this was my 5th year in my capacity as the production manager for the world-renowned Detroit Jazz Festival, which is the largest free jazz festival in the world. I own a company called Audio Rescue Team. I co-own that with my business partner, Alan Bogle. I'm president of the company, and we are a small audio and production company here in Detroit. I started the company in 2011, and we primarily focus on boutique audio design and install, and we also have a rental department, and we handle all production aspects from a small wedding all the way up to an outdoor festival like one of the shows that we do is we do all the stages at Dally in the Alley. So everywhere in
Oh,
between.
nice.
You're kind of a jack of all trades, though. I feel like you kind of do everything. I've known you for
Well,
quite a bit of time, so.
Yeah, you have. And some of the other things, notably, I do own another small business called the Stereo Club. And we have a brick and mortar showroom in Livonia. And what we do is we buy, refurbish, and sell vintage audio gear from the 70s and 80s. Cool. Many other things, you know, I started out as a DJ in 1982. My first real DJ job was in a roller rink in Roseville that doesn't exist anymore. It used to be called Macomb Skating Rink. And from there, just a brief history, I started my own mobile DJ company, which was called Elite Sound, and that was established in 1984 when I was in high school. And very quickly, I went from having one system in myself to having 3 systems and a couple of other cats working for me, doing things. And then I discovered DJing in nightclubs, got my first nightclub DJ job in 1985, DJing in a nightclub, a place on Gratiot. And from there, in the late 80s, after graduated from high school, techno discovered me. And my brother, Sam Fotis, who's director of operations at Paxahau, my brother and my current business partner, told me a bunch of lies to get me to put all of my sound systems together and do the sound for a warehouse party. And I had no idea what I was doing, and a lot of my shit got broke. But I knew at that point I was hooked, and that's when kind of like the merging happened, and I started getting interested in entertainment tech. And it's at the time I was very successful DJing. Anytime a new top 40 club opened, I would audition and get the prime spots. My mobile DJ company was ripping, and but that thing happened. Electronic music happened to me, and I want to say more than the music was what I can remember and sort of allude to the most is the feeling of being involved in presenting something bigger than myself. You know, rather than me being up there at a wedding with 500 people packed into a hall and playing the same music. I mean, that had a certain value to it, and walking into a room with a bunch of strangers every weekend and getting coercing people to have fun was one thing. But and I played in bands too and played live music out loud, but I'd have to out live. But that's the thing that got me interested in doing what we all call production work now, is being on a team with people that you are enriched by in some way, and using your talents and your resources to put this thing out there, if you will, that then a bunch of people you don't know and some people you do know show up for this thing, and they get an experience from it. And in retrospect, that's why I got hooked on doing sound. And fortunately, I had some really awesome mentors that you could say that took me by the hand or by the neck, if you like, or both at times, and helped me get into the business. So that's kind of a synopsis. Like you said, I do a lot of stuff, and it's because I really like things with knobs and wires. And it's especially during these difficult times that we've been through so far since last freaking year, having many talents technically has kept me from being shut up in this house all the time and going out of my fucking mind.
Right.
But so yes, you're right, Lauren. I do know how to do a lot of different things.
You do. I know that for a fact. And you're very good at everything you do, which is something that I really admire about you. You're like the best in the sound industry, at least as far as I know, and I would recommend you to anybody. So
that warms my cold, dark heart, Lauren. But sort of in the realm of what y'all talk about a lot is, I got into music and sound systems for music for events first. On that side, in regards to bars and nightclubs, I was only a DJ, right?
Right.
During that same time, I learned all the jobs. I started to learn all the jobs when I got involved in working in gentlemen's clubs. And I did co-managing, I DJ'd, MC'd, I took care of the girls. I washed glasses. I learned all the jobs because I wanted to know what it took to do all the jobs.
Yeah.
And I think that's what led me into having a unique focus and respect for bar and nightclub owners when I started to foray out into wanting to be a respected installer of sound systems and systems in nightclubs and bars. I think that it gave me an edge because I understood what all the moving parts are and the costs, both intrinsically and physically, to owning a bar or a nightclub.
Absolutely. That's invaluable, to know
Yeah.
all that stuff, to know all the ins and outs and what it takes to run it, to do everything from wash the dishes to, all the things that you mentioned there. That's all just like really great knowledge to have. It's too many people own bars that don't know all those little parts. You know what I
It's
mean?
true.
Yeah. They're like,
True,
oh,
no.
wouldn't it be cool to own a bar? Like, yeah, if you know what you're doing, but if you don't have a fucking clue, like, leave it to
If
a
you've never
professional.
bartended, you've never DJ'd, you've never managed a place, you've never you don't even hang out at bars. Like, it sounds great to own a bar, and the money is there for sure. Like, bar owners, the profit margins are pretty high, but if you haven't experienced at least half of the jobs, then you probably shouldn't own a bar.
Or at least get a partner that knows what the fuck they're doing.
Somebody.
Most certainly, I've seen both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I've walked into a situation and meeting a new potential client where right off the rip, I can tell that they have an understanding of everything that they're doing, and then also have an understanding of where I fit in. So many times I've been to a consultation with a potential client that owns either a bar or a restaurant or something in service, if you will, in regards to the venue. And I felt so bad for them after I left the meeting, because I'm like, clearly these people are in the weeds and they haven't even swung the front door yet.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you don't know what you're getting into.
It's, the bar business is, and one of the things that I wanted to come on this show and talk about is my experiences with how patrons have no idea what it takes on the part of the staff to do their part and give that part of the experience to them. And something that I've never tolerated, and I've traveled all over the world doing production work, all over the United States and North America. I've been to Europe. I've done all those things, right? And something that I've never tolerated when I've been out with my colleagues, and most certainly with any associates or whatever, is even if a server or a bartender or a bottle service person is having a bad night, for people to allow to give them shit. Because I've been in the back room when a club's on tilt and things going fucking sideways, and seen the efforts to keep it be transparent to the patrons, no matter how fucking bad it gets. And 9 times out of 10, the badness isn't caused by the worker bees. It's caused by poor management.
Yeah,
right.
And poor leadership. And I've seen it so many times that even when I experience a person serving me, whether it could be in a restaurant or not even a bar or someplace like that, even if I'm having issue, I always try to think, well, this person doesn't know me from Adam. They're not being a dick to me just because they want to be a dick to me. All right. Like, something's going on here that's beyond me. And I'm still going to be polite and leave a nice tip, because you never know what's going on. I mean, I used to throw money at Lauren all the time, just because, right, Lauren?
It's true.
I'm like, here, you look sad.
And that's the thing is, so many people out there don't understand that. They don't get it. They're only thinking about themselves. The customer is always right. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. They took too long. Whatever. Not everybody. A lot of people know. Well, the service industry has employed so many millions of people over the years that there's a good percentage of Americans that know exactly what the fuck it's like to be behind the bar or waitressing and stuff like that, but still not enough of them. And yeah, I'm with you on that, Mike. Like, you don't get to treat the staff like shit no matter what. Now, sometimes people are rude, and you can tell when a server is just like not good at their job and is rude about it. You can kind of there's a way to do it. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
be just like, all right, but just
I
being
think-
mean or nasty to them is not acceptable.
I think that something that I've noticed that sort of runs parallel in both of our disciplines in the business is, you know, even though I think you're right about how there are a lot of MFers that have worked in the service industry at this point, but there are a lot of people that haven't. And the dynamic is the same as this. I'll use this as an example. Since not just this past winter, but since last winter, what I call dark March.
Yeah.
Everything canceled. Okay. In the beginning of March, right? When
Mhm.
everything was totally canceled. Even people in my family and not distant relatives, but people that are blood related to me or I know them very closely because of their relationship with my parents or something like that or whatever. I think that a lot of people are what I call not on purpose oblivious. You know what I mean? Like most of my shit, meaning my almost $1 million in rental inventory, has been sitting under tarps in my shop since last March.
Yeah.
And when I can't even count the times that I've had somebody that knows me that I've had to help them understand that there's been fucking zero since then.
Yeah.
In entertainment work. Like
Nothing.
not like a few gigs, like for the all the way up until summer.
0 gigs.
Zero gigs.
You were saying
Right.
nothing.
0 gigs. Okay. Like, and then after summer, my company went from 0 income to operating at about 8 to 11% comparatively speaking from the same time last year. All right.
Right.
And when I explain it, have taken a minute to explain it to them, then the light bulb goes on, and then I'm like 14 plus million people worldwide out of motherfucking work.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
14 million people, a multi-billion-dollar industry shut down, boiler shut off, parked in the freaking garage. All right.
Yeah.
And they still
It's
have all their
awareness.
bills. They
Right,
still
it's
have all their
awareness. So
overhead.
I
Yeah.
think the same lack of awareness is there with all of people like yourselves, my colleagues like yourselves that work in that part of the service industry. Okay. And I don't think it's out of malice that people are unaware of it, but I think it's just that we're freaking invisible. Okay.
Yeah.
For the same dynamic that when people go to a concert, they walk into a place like Little Caesars or wherever they go, an arena, and you can't say techno because a lot of the techno fans understand tech and what it takes to do it, right? But I'm saying the general public, they walk in and it's all there. I've had people tell me, well, isn't that stuff all the ways in the venue? Isn't it just there all the time and they just turn it on? And I think it's the same dynamic with servers and bartenders and waitresses and waiters and what have you, is that people in general just assume things.
They don't get it.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
They just assume things, and that doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them uninformed. And I think that a lot of one of the positive things that's come out of this COVID craziness, or the Rona, as I like to call it, is more awareness.
Yes.
More
Yeah,
awareness
that's
of
true.
that.
Bringing more things to light. Well, I will say this. I think it was, must have been late 90s, early 2000s, maybe. I did a load in and a load out for Warped Tour one time. So I got to see exactly what goes on behind the scenes and what it takes to put together a big,
you got
giant
used like an indentured
festival.
servant for a couple of days and figured it out,
And
right?
was happy to do it, man. Was happy
Right.
to do it because I got to see the shows for free and hang out and catch a couple glimpses of some famous people and stuff, so that was cool. Yeah, it's all good.
And I think that awareness is something that Lauren can attest to this. I have been called out on record for being one of the grumpiest old men in techno in Detroit, and a lot of that comes from love, but it is true. And one of the things that I've learned to do in this reality that we're living in currently is to be able to search for my eloquence a little bit more and trying to explain to these people what the thing really is.
Yeah.
Anybody that I come in contact with, rather than being like, you're an idiot and you should, and because Google, you should be able to figure this shit out.
Because Google.
It carries more meaning when somebody like yourselves, even through doing this program that you guys do, or the programming that Georgie and I do from our little studio that we have here in the house, or when I do go to face-to-face meetings with people in my travels and some of the pro bono work that I do for associations here in the city based around music, anytime one of us can reach somebody like that through conversation, that helps the whole industry, because that's word of mouth shit. That's word of mouth shit, because you can have all this big promo on social media and advertising, whatever, but when a person's heart reaches out and touches another person's heart on a subject that is very meaningful to the person that's explaining it to them, then that person's been touched and that's in there forever. Like,
Yeah.
The next time they go to a restaurant, they're going to think about that. And the next time they're in a bar ordering a drink, they're going to fucking keep their mask on when they're supposed to, you know?
Exactly. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think that if more of us had the experiences that clearly we've all had, you know, that's one thing. But then taking a moment and having discourse with somebody.
Oh man,
right?
One of my favorite things to do in the industry was always like when a customer is having a bad time or they're pissed off and you turn them around. Like, and sometimes it's at me. One of the last places I worked before shutdown, these guys came in and they were pissed off. They were stoned and they were hungry, but they were pissed off because I wasn't jumping as fast as they wanted me to. And I was like, fellas, like, it takes time to get your order, and you got soup and salad, you got all this stuff that comes with it. And, I tried to, they were being a little bit rude. And so in turn, I got a little bit rude with them. But then I gave myself a second. I went to the kitchen instead of getting pissed off. And I'm like, I got to turn this around because I don't want these guys hating me. I don't want them mad at me. And I came out and I apologized to them first, and I was like, listen.
Even with cancel culture, where it's just like everyone goes, okay, immediately start bashing this place because of this one experience that you had, and all my friends go on and do it too, and it's like, shit happens, life happens, people have lives, people have hardships, people have bad days. And and also just remember that you're not my only customer. I've got other people and other obligations that I have to do too, and I will give you precedence. I will give you, that I will be there for you when you need something. But if you're going to be an asshole to me, like, my job isn't to reprimand you and be an asshole back. My job in my head is to turn it around and be like, this is why you should be having fun right now. This is why we should be having a good time. That's what you're here for.
Hey, we got off on the wrong foot. Let's turn this around. My apologies. I'm going to take blame for my part in it. And don't worry about your part in it. That's okay. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, you're the customer.
Sometimes
it doesn't work.
There's a lesson to be learned.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
Right.
Luckily this time it did. These guys, they left happy and full and gave me a tip and everything was great and stuff like that. And hopefully they went back. But sometimes we have to pause because, like, you get so used to doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you get frustrated and you get pissed off and you might snap at somebody, and it's like, it's not a good look. You gotta reel it back in every once in a while and, like, just kind of chill out.
Ooh, are we in your studio now? Whoa!
Yeah, we're in the studio, so I can have a smoke. Sorry about that.
No, that's cool. I love all your vinyl.
Yeah, this is just a little wide shot of laundry room studios here. This is Studio A in the actual laundry room.
Nice.
And Georgie and I decided that February, right before everything shut down, that we were going to start this project together. And I do primarily retro music programming. I don't really do modern music. Right now, we have a show that we do bi-weekly that's called The Decade. And it's all music from the 80s, all genres, and it's by listener request. For 4 hours.
You know that I loves me some 80s.
On Saturday night. And then we have a monthly show on Thursdays that's called the Thursday Night Special, where we do some dance music programming, but I have a guest. I'll spotlight a up and coming or favorite DJ from Detroit that comes in, and I set up a second rig on the washer and dryer. It's kind of like a kitchen, the camera pointing at the washer and dryer because it's Laundry Room Studios. And then we do on the third Sunday of the month, we do a jazz fusion show called Jazz Vinyl Club, the smoothest edition.
Nice.
And it is a reflective of when we were able to do this. I used to do a monthly at Motor City Wine where I would play that music. So
Yeah, I came to
we've
see
had
you one
pretty good
time and it
success.
was amazing.
We have a base listenership of about 75 listeners, and that tune in most of the time, and people from all over North America, most certainly. And it just became a way a way that I could do something, could share this enormous vinyl collection that I have, and then also my knowledge of the music, because the shows are run like a radio program that you might hear, like if you were listening to WDET or WRCJ, where certain tracks are played and they're either connected by the musicians playing them or by the producers that produce the different records. And then because I have a lot of knowledge of it, I try to share some interesting facts or stories about the music with my listeners.
And where can people hear that? Where can people tune in?
So our Twitch channel, we're on Twitch right now, and it is photon _the _destroyer. That's my old
Photon
DJ.
the Destroyer.
That's my old DJ name. But you can go on our Facebook page at Laundry Room Studios, and our programming is there. And if you sign up if you're not on Twitch and you sign up for a free Twitch handle and follow us, there's warnings always, or you find out there's notifications. Excuse my boomer sensibilities there. There's notifications about when we're going to be on the air, and we're always thinking about adding new programming soon when we change. I can't let the secret out completely, but we're going to change the way that how our viewers link to see us. And we will have an audio only stream as well. That is a part that goes in parallel with it. So it's more like an internet radio station.
Nice.
And we will have 24-hour day, 7-day a week programming that comes out of the spot through playlists that I've built.
That's really cool.
I've got 3 playlists that are within the genres that I spoke about. Each one of them is up to about 60 hours of music.
Oh my God.
So as soon as I get it to 72, so it only repeats after like 3.5 days or whatever, then we're going to be, whenever you tune in to our internet radio station, if you're listening to the audio only component, it'll have the music with the station bumpers and maybe even some advertisements from our sponsors. And then if you're watching the video component, it'll be the same audio stream, but there'll be pictures of our gigs that we've done and some slides that talk about new programming and what have you. And that way there's always good music coming out of here whenever you click on our channel, which is very
and
dicey.
you're really good about adding stuff on when people want to hear something in particular, you know?
Yeah, it's all about, the whole thing here has been about great programming that's not quote unquote techno. Because I have a lot of friends that I've known from the techno business that are also huge connoisseurs of all the same music that I love.
Yeah.
And George, my son George, which Lauren, you know my son Georgie, right?
Yes, I do.
George was the one who came up with the idea. He's like, Dad, you have all this great music. We have gear. I know you have ideas in your mind for what you would like to do about this. He's like, let's figure this shit out and do it. So,
Nice.
And I was not really all about it at first, but then when I thought about it, I got into DJing because before I met George's mom, when I was really young, I was on a path to a broadcasting career. That was the direction, as I wanted to be an on-air broadcaster, But then I met George's mommy and things changed. So
Right.
That happens. That happens.
But, anyway, yeah, this is it. And speaking of areas of solace, this has been really nice, especially in that first 6 months when we were all cooped up, to be able to just come in here and rock out, whenever, which I know a lot of my musician friends and other DJ friends and whatever. And as you know, sort of turning the corner here, the whole streaming thing has been like a lifeline to people
Yeah.
in the entertainment
I was
business.
just about to bring that up and say
You
that
know,
it's
like,
pretty crazy that you were able to like find something to do to like keep people interacting with your business, people interacting with you and promoting yourself.
and interacting with each other in some
Exactly.
sort of meaningful way. You know, like if you can't just go to TV or hear this place or that place, you can't just get up and go and maybe see a few people you like and clink glasses with them. You know, or maybe see a few people you don't like and talk shit about them to your friends, right? You know,
Right? Yeah, that too. That it's all important.
so, and that, you know, that whole subject of the streaming thing, like when we did, obviously movement didn't happen in 2020, but we did have a pivot for Detroit Jazz Festival, which was we took over 3 floors of the main areas in the Marriott and built 3 HD quality sound stages from scratch in 3 of the big banquet halls in there. And we did basically 14 hours of programming for 4 days straight with no audience out of it. And I had and it was carried on DPTV and some of it on PBS nationally, and then on our Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation Facebook and YouTube platforms. And I had my reservations about how much interaction we were going to have from the public. We had over 1 million viewers every
Oh my
day.
God.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've been to a couple of different virtual concerts this year. You know, one of my favorite bands in the world, Clutch, did a couple of virtual concerts that I went to. I did the Bowie celebration where it's all of Bowie's old musicians.
Yeah, I did the movement all virtual thing. I was on that the entire 4 weeks leading up to it and
it's
everything.
like people find a way to adapt during these times and do what you can. It's not the same experience, but it's something. And it's like, you know, at this point, we're all just kind of begging for anything to do.
I have to tell you though, guys, like I'm not a boomer in the classic sense of the word, and I'm going to explain this before I make my point, because my son, George, who I love to death, has a very razor sharp way of explaining things to me at this point. You know, I'll leave it at that, delivered with some very good, snappy wit most of the time. And he's like, yeah, Dad, you're a Generation Xer, but you have boomer sensibilities. And like, I'm like, explain this to me. And he's like, well, when something that has technology isn't working right, you're going to figure out how to fix it, but you're going to cuss at it and call it a piece of shit the whole time. And I'm like, okay, all right. And that's, you know, George being not a classic millennial, but most certainly from that generation, it helped me understand that like there are a lot of us that are my age. I'm going to be 53 soon, okay? And we grew up, we're in the middle. We grew up with rotary phones and understanding where the place to hang out was where all the bikes were piled up, right in front of the place. And from that, we transitioned into the digital era, digital telephones, VCRs, compact discs, etc. And then the big change was when we all had pagers and mobile phones. But it all came in steps. And the technology that I touch changed in steps like that as well. I went from being in front of a console with 72 sliders on it and giant racks of outboard gear to being able to roll in with a thing that fits in the back of my station wagon that does the exactly same job, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's this, I don't want to say in fear, but even though I'm somebody that works in tech, I always second guess a new idea when it's delivered by tech. Does that make sense? And I don't do it on purpose. It's just in there. So when this big streaming project, when the director of the foundation that supports the festival came to me and said, Michael, this is what we want to do. And this was in January of last year. Okay. And they were like, can we do this? And that whole thing, a team of people on the board of directors in there have never heard me say that we can't do something. Right. So I just will always remember that phone call because I remember going, well, I know I can do it, but how in the fuck am I going to do it? Right?
I will do it and I can, but I'm not sure how.
And, you know, the success came largely from having a great team, including Local 38, our local stagehands, you know, they supply all the people that set it all up and operate it and whatnot. But the point is, before I digress into that, because I can talk to people about all the tech until their eyes roll over, is the change in perception. That's what we've been talking about tonight so far, right?
Yeah.
It's me sitting there at the end with my colleagues and everybody's high-fiving and whatever and going, my mind's been changed through discourse, whether it be like this discourse we're having or discourse that occurs from accomplishing a common task together and realizing
Right.
the proverbial fruits of your labor, if you will. And again, in being involved in bringing an experience to people, but being taught that it can be done in a new manner and still be meaningful. You know, that's
true.
And that's what we're really talking about. Because in this country right now, we got a problem with people being able to have discourse between each other.
Absolutely.
You know, and you could say that it was caused by this or caused by that or whatever. We're not going to get into it because everybody in this meeting knows exactly how it was caused.
Yep.
But I think that what has happened is a lot of our fellows in this country is, you know, we've become so wide apart. We think that what we want is so wide apart. But really, when people sit down and talk to each other, we're not that, the gap isn't as wide. You know?
And it goes across the whole globe, man. It's like if people would just stop for a second and realize that we're really not that much different when it comes down to it, the world would be a much better place. I 100% agree with that. You know, it's like, and it starts with discourse.
And then agreeing that it's okay. Like, you know, there are things that it's not okay to have a differing opinion on because we all know that shit ain't fucking right.
Yep.
Right.
Or it is really right. Okay.
Yep.
So no one is allowed to try to have some sort of bullshit discussion with me about, well, you know, we have to agree to disagree.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's, you know, that'd be a big fat no.
Yeah.
But on most issues in regards to human and civil rights issues and quality of life issues and basically what's best for everybody, I think that a lot of people are a lot closer than they think they are to others. And the rest is opinion, which is fine, you know, because everybody has beliefs, you know, and I think that the powers that be that want to divide us have dialed in on that ether that is people's beliefs. And if you've done any reading about how much bullshit most of our beliefs are, then you understand why they focused, you know, razor sharp focused in on that shit. And that's how we become all divided because they figured that out.
Because it makes you easier to control. Yeah, definitely.
So,
Michael, you ever think about going into politics? I think you'd be great at it.
Here's the thing. Civics wise, I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I most certainly have always
I know somebody else who wasn't qualified and made it.
Civics wise, and you know what we mean by civics, obviously. I'm not very well qualified, you know, in regards to the systems by which our three branches of government run and the Constitution itself and the Bill of Rights and all that. I most certainly would have to know that way more deeply for me to respect myself as a particular politician. Because I feel so many of them don't.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing, so funny that you asked me that. The other thing is you know, when I was in my formative years going through high school and any of the formal education that I had, I really was so focused on science and mathematics because that's what interested me, and social studies and geography and civics and those things were something that I only did the minimum in because it wasn't really what I was interested in, you know. And I really feel that someone that's going to represent all of us, yes, they need to have a grasp on basically the fact that no matter what your skin color is or who you want to marry or who you want to bang or whatever, has no bearing on you being treated the same as the person next to you. Okay.
Yep.
You know, but to be a successful politician in the current, to be able to take those ideas and really help people, you really need to be good at all the other shit. And I'm a dummy when it comes to all that.
It's true. It's true. I agree with
you know, like people that get up there and some of the new leaders that we have installed now that have both is really awesome, you know, and I'm not going to name any names. I don't want to get into politics too much, but
we don't have to.
I think that also you have to have a lot of time. Like you have to be willing for that part. You have to be willing for that to be your career. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when, it is service, you're stepping into anytime I've been, I am a 33rd degree Mason. I've gone through the 3 degrees in the Blue Lodge. I'm 32nd degree in the Scottish Rite. When I was younger, I was involved in being in a leadership position in some of those things. I would belong to youth organizations where I was president of the organization. I sit on the board of directors of 2 nonprofits right now. And so I have an understanding of, if you're going to ask people to put you in a leadership role, you need to understand that if they put their confidence in you, then that needs to become a priority in your life.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
It's so important, just taking my career in the entertainment business as a lesson in that, or an example in that discussion. When my company started to grow to the point where I have other people depending on me for their livelihood in my company. Okay. Basically, my decisions, like, it's my job to go out there and win so everybody can move up. That's the way that I always looked at it, right? That takes commitment. And to step into that position, you have to, in order to reap the benefits of that position, which are first, to me, the joy that brings and getting those successes, right? The second part of that is making money and being able to do your passion and make a living from it, which is a huge blessing in life. It's a huge fortunality in life. But with that comes the responsibility of your people that work for you and on your behalf, having the comfort that you're going to go out and win for them and represent them in a positive and effective manner.
Sure.
Look, now on the humorous side, let's get to the levity part of it. Whenever anybody runs for public office, no matter how good they are, either your opponent in the media is immediately looking for the dirt.
Absolutely. And
the dirt makes people click on ads and sells newspapers.
People love a good dirty story.
And let me tell you,
I don't think we could have wrapped up our show any better.
So sorry to cut you off.
We've run out of time, but I think, like, you put a little bow on it there at the end. That was just like absolutely perfect.
Well, that's good. Let's not get into the dirt.
Exactly. We ran all over the place tonight, but man, I tell you, it was a pleasure to meet you this evening, and we're gonna have you back on again sometime because we got more stuff to talk about. I need to pick your brain about all kinds of things.
I really appreciate you having me, and anytime you guys want me to come on, since we busted out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Fantastic. Absolutely. We're gonna post all of your stuff, where to find your shows on our page. And so if people missed that in the middle of the show, you can go back and listen to the show over again, but we'll post it on our socials. So we'll hopefully get your 75 up to at least 80 or 85 listeners. You know what I mean? I know you got me as a fan. Lauren,
totally.
Tell everybody where they can reach us real quick, Lauren, before we get on out of here.
Okay, if you have a tale that you want to tell us about your experience working in the service industry or just hanging out in bars, we don't give a fuck. Send us a message over at Barside Tales, Tales, because people ask about that for some reason. BarsideTales@gmail.com. Send us an email. I'm going to watch them. I'm going to read them. We might read them on
We're going to talk about them. Michael, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mike.
See ya. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.